Aloha, everybody. I am over here in Honolulu. It is January 4th, 2021. I wanted to give you the most up-to-date information. I feel like it's almost an obligation to tell everybody if you had a successful trip to Hawaii and exactly what to expect when you're traveling during COVID. So I want you to know there's a couple of websites that you really need to go to. One is the official government website, and that is the state of Hawaii. That is travel.hawaii.gov. If you're watching this much later, you definitely want to go back in there and check it out. Okay, they will have up-to-date information there. Another one that appears to be also the state, it's called the COVID-19 State of Hawaii portal, and that is hawaiicovid19.com. All right. When we were heading over here, we got here on December 30th, 2020. They had just made some changes just 2 days prior to that, requiring that you needed to have your COVID-19 test from an approved partner with the NAAD testing. It'll have the information. I'll have it posted here on the screen, uploaded prior to your departure of the last leg of your travel to Hawaii. So this stuff all needs to be uploaded and up in their system before it arrives. Why? Because they need their system to pre-approve and pre-screen you before you arrive. Even if you land and you have a negative result, you will be required to quarantine for 10 days. Okay, they were very specific about that, and that is so that you can avoid the 10-day otherwise mandatory quarantine in Hawaii. Right now, you have to get this within 72 hours of your departure. So that is basically 3 days. So you need to get the results within 3 days. Now, my wife and I are traveling with my nephew and her mother, and we came here together. It was quite a big effort to coordinate and make sure that we get the testing results done within 72 hours. So my wife and I actually did some tests about a week before this, just to see how long some of these other places would get the results back. So the first one we did, my wife and I were traveling from LA County. We went over to a Walgreens. We got the appropriate test that is okay for Hawaii. Some of them will say that it is approved for Hawaii. Always ask just to see if they're sure, and always double check that. Okay, you don't want to make that mistake. A lot of people have made that mistake where they've got a test and it wasn't the correct one. For most of these, they have to send them out to a lab. Now, our Walgreens, we went on a Saturday, okay, and we didn't get the results back until Wednesday night. And that would have meant that if we had relied on Walgreens to get the tests, we would not have been allowed to come to Hawaii and quarantine. Actually, what would happen is that if we were allowed to come, we would have to quarantine somewhere in a specific area that is okay for travelers that don't have their test to quarantine for 10 days. Most hotels will not accept you. They will require a actual negative COVID result. They will look for your printed out test results. And if you actually are exempt, they will actually look on your screen for a QR code. Okay, so I'm jumping a little bit further ahead there. Now, what you do is after you get your COVID test results, basically you go to travel.hawaii.gov, or actually you want to do this before you travel. You want to put in your trip information about where you're staying and when you're going to be arriving and when you're going to be leaving. And then you're going to be asked to upload your documents of your COVID test results. Again, the dates and the times have to be within 72 hours of the departure of your last leg of travel. So for us, we left from San Jose, California, and that's our one and only leg, so we didn't have to do that. But for anybody else who's traveling from another state to another state and then transferring over to Hawaii from there, you need to make sure that it is within 72 hours, again, of the last leg. Now, this is very important, okay, the departure time. I saw some people that they went and they got a test from somewhere, and for whatever reason, they actually, on the lab result, it got put in as Eastern Standard Time. So that messed them up by 3 hours, and they were leaving from California. So when they did it, and they got it within 71 or 72 hours of the travel time, the lab had put down that they took it at Eastern time, so then they lost 3 hours. So that means that when they took the test, it was beyond. It looked like they had taken it at 70 74 or 75 hours. So for us to make sure that that wouldn't happen, what we did was we waited 3 hours after our flight time after that. So we took it within 69 hours of our flight time, just to make sure that in case there's a clerical error, that we would still be okay. Luckily, what I found out was that Walgreens turns out to take the longest amount of time. You get really, really nervous when it comes to the flight time you don't have the results. CVS, if you go to their website, at least our experience for us over here in Bay Area, California, San Francisco Bay Area, California, was that when you go to the CVS site and you ask for the COVID testing, they actually tell you that they can't guarantee that you would be able to get your results in time for Hawaii. Turns out they got it within 2 days. So that was actually pretty good. My wife and I ended up just going to Kaiser Permanente, and their process was a lot better. In Walgreens, we waited 4 or 5 hours, and that was absolutely ridiculous. They even took a lunch break and left us out there. I think that they don't do a lot of the paperwork ahead of time, or they don't have staff to do the paperwork ahead of time, so a lot of time is spent doing paperwork. And we were just in line in a car with a line of 4 or 5 other cars. It still took us about 3 to 4 hours all said and done to get our test done. Now, when we went to Kaiser Permanente, it took us literally 15 minutes. Like, we arrived there, they had all the signage all set up. They had all our paperwork ready to go. We were out in 15 minutes. And on top of that, we got the results. At least my wife got the results within 24 hours. I got it within 36 hours. So that was absolutely fantastic. So if you have Kaiser Permanente, schedule your COVID test. I sent a message to my doctor just to make sure that they ordered the correct test as well. And so that worked out fine. Make sure that you mention that this is for purposes of traveling to Hawaii. Now, even though their official line is they can't guarantee that you will get it within the period of time, we talked to someone and they said, oh, yes, we get these COVID tests in and out right away really quickly. That was our experience in Northern California, just so you know. Okay. All right. So once you get those tests, you will upload them. And they will ask you to have it. You'll be able to download the report. Usually it's in PDF. You upload the documents over here, and then you should be good to go. All right. Now, we had a circumstance where my nephew did not get the results by the time we boarded the plane. We actually got that about 2 hours later. So what happened was we had my nephew's dad download the COVID results and upload it for us into the website. Now, if you have children 5 and under, I believe you don't need to get the COVID testing done. My nephew's 7, so he did. So once that was uploaded, it was approved. There's an automated system that actually checks for specific details in the reports to let you know whether or not what you uploaded was correct. So look out for that when you upload it. Another tip also is that make sure you save your login password information with you. You will need to share that with you on your smartphone or smart device. You will be required to show that multiple times. So once we got to the airport, when we went to go get to the rental car, that's one of the first things that they will ask is your ID, government ID, and number 2, to check your status. Okay, and that's going to be, you will get a QR code that gets emailed to you, all right, from the state of Hawaii, either website or their app. You'll get an email, that QR code. You will need to share that QR code with every single hotel that you're staying at, and also with the rental car companies. They want to see your status. So if you successfully followed all that information, what happens is you will get something called exempt status. And that just means that you are exempt from the 10-day quarantine that is otherwise required during your stay. So if you have any questions about this specifically, at least for Oahu or Honolulu, there's actually a phone number here that you should call and ask. Okay, that's 808-768-2489. We are staying just in Oahu this trip during Hawaii. And if you travel to a different island, unfortunately, they have a little bit more lockdown. So not only do you arrive here with your pre-testing from 72 hours ago, when you get to a different airport, you plan on transferring to another airport, you need another COVID test. But that COVID test is just a quick one. So they get the results within 30 minutes or so. Okay, just to confirm that, within the 72 hours, that there's very little chance that you caught COVID during that period of time. All right, so I think another frequently asked question was, do the airports check whether or not you have COVID-19 testing before you get on the plane? No, at least in San Jose, in the San Francisco Bay Area, they actually don't check to see whether or not you had any COVID testing done. So, so keep that in mind. So the people around you who are flying on the plane could potentially have COVID. So, you gotta be sure that you follow all the rules, watch your distance, keep at least 6 feet away, wash your hands, wear your mask, just keep as clean as possible. Our flight on Southwest Airlines was actually at 50% capacity, but that also meant that every single row was taken. So we were within like 1 or 2 feet from the next person. But on a plane, there's good air purification. So you're actually fairly safe over there from air transmission, which is how COVID-19 also transmits, or at least thought to be primarily transmitted. Okay, so I do have a few other tips. On the airplane, there's a little gadget that holds the phone, at least on Southwest, so that you can watch whatever free TV or live streaming. For Southwest, they actually don't serve you full meals. They give you a lot of snacks, though, so keep that in mind. In San Jose, California airport, we had a chance to just get some Chick-fil-A, and that lasted. The flight was 5 hours long from California anyway. Another thing that I would recommend too, and I didn't know this, but at least in our hotel in the modern Honolulu, fantastic hotel, but the TV that we have over here, since we're traveling kids, we like to be able to stream Netflix and stuff, does not have buttons at all on the TV for you to adjust any settings. So we couldn't access the HDMI input, and the only way to access it is if you bring your own Samsung remote, or in my case, I brought a $7, I got this from Target, but I have a link down below if it's also available from Amazon. Just basically get a universal remote, program it to Samsung, and then you can go ahead and not only do you not have to touch the potentially yucky remote control of the hotel, but also that you can access the HDMI input. So that was pretty useful. And yeah, so this way we got to stream our own movies, stream our own TV shows, or stream our own things without having to watch the local cable TV stations, which of course in modern Honolulu there are many, but still if we want to watch our own movies, this is definitely the way that to go. All right, I think that that answers most of the questions about getting here during COVID-19. For the most part, looking outside and traveling around Honolulu here during New Year's and all the way through today, just about everything is open, at least around Waikiki. So we have not found anything that was particularly closed or non-accessible. All the stores and shops and everything were open. Of course, there's the regular COVID restrictions. You can actually dine in certain restaurants with their safety protocols and procedures, right? They got to check your temperature, and some of them can require that you fill out a form just for contact tracing purposes, so that if they found out that anybody else got tested positive for COVID-19, they can contact you later. All right, so we've had to do that while we were at Giovanni's Shrimp Truck, as a Thai restaurant about a mile away from here, etc. All right. I think there's one other thing that someone was asking too. Oh yes, transportation from the airport. Okay, so we rented a car, and we definitely advise that if you have a lot of luggage. We did, and we got a Nissan Maxima. It's a premium upgrade. It was perfect for us. We had 10 to 12 pieces of luggage. That's a lot. So there were at least 10 pieces of luggage that needed to be transferred. That all fit in with us, with me, my wife, her mom, and my nephew. And I thought, hey, was it possible to go ahead and take the bus in? The buses actually don't have space for your luggage. They really just want you to just have like maybe one carry-on. So keep that in mind. You'll probably need to rent a car anyway, so definitely have all that information handy and ready to go with the QR code. Your login, some of them will require that you log in right in front of them to actually see the results of your test, just to make sure as a precaution. They're allowed to do that, or just not service you at all. Okay, now when we returned our rental car, because we're having a whole work week and we're not going to be driving around the island, we just drove back and returned it in a different location from where we picked it up. So keep that in mind. They have a different process and procedure here. They'll give you a little piece of paper that tells you exactly how to go. Don't lose that piece of paper, or if not, call them and ask them for directions. And we took the bus back into town. It wasn't bad at all. So it is actually $275. And you can go just about anywhere that the bus takes you. It's one way. You can get a whole day pass for under $6. We didn't do that, so we don't know the exact process or procedure of that. They'll probably tell the bus person that you want a full day pass, and they will have you insert the money and hand you a day pass for use for that day. So that's actually a pretty good way to get around if you don't want to drive. We are in the Waikiki area, and the parking is at least $23 a night. I think it was $37 a night in most places, which basically is equal to the cost of the car rental in many cases. So that's the reason why, if we're working all day long, we're within a 6-minute walking distance from the Ala Moana Center, which is a big mall down the street, and it has everything, like all the food courts have just about any type of food that you could possibly want, and there's a great Greenland supermarket around here as well. Plus there's ABC convenience stores everywhere. So everything seems to be open. There's a lot of things that are not shut down. Unfortunately, there are a lot of restaurants that are shut down, but there's still so many choices. It wasn't like where it was before when it started out, and there were only like 1 or 2 restaurants open. So we had a great selection. We get pretty decent meals every day, and the prices don't seem very outrageous at all. But again, we are coming from California. All right, so I think that answers just about most of your questions. I will have some other tips and stuff on here. Maybe post some other maybe little mini vlogs about some of our adventures right here. We have another week that we're staying here. We're going to be staying at the Hilton Hawaiian Garden, I believe. Is it the Hilton Hawaiian something? It's got plenty of slides, really awesome. Be sure to look out for some content from me there. All right, that's it for this video. Please give it a like. Subscribe for more, since I'm going to be here for another week or so. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I'll see what I can do to find out specifically about Oahu. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Be safe, and Happy New Year's.